Space lovers will soon have the chance to send a package all the way to the moon. American company Space Services Incorporated, along with its Chinese joint venture partner Space Desire, launch rockets carrying customers' belongings into space for as little as $10 US. The company says the success of the venture comes as a result of a human fascination with the unknown, coupled with the perceived added value which items acquire after having traveled into space. In 2003, Yang Liwei became China's first man in space, and he has since become a national hero. China is only the third country to have sent a man into space. In 2005, the country launched a second manned spaceflight. These launches have led to a Chinese enthusiasm for space travel. It is this enthusiasm for space that has led the joint venture partners to launch their Items to Space business. Things returned from extraterrestrial trips are often given as gifts or find their way into aerospace museums. The company has already launched hundreds of thousands of items into space. A new probe called Planck is soon to be launched. It will map the cosmic microwave background radiation left over from the Big Bang that created the universe. The craft will build up a detailed picture of radiation just like that emitted from domestic microwave ovens. Everything in the universe, near and far, emits radiation. Planck is currently being assembled and tested and will be launched by an Ariane 5 rocket from Kourou in French Guiana. The satellite will be placed in orbit at what is known as a Lagrangian point, where the Earth and the Sun's gravitational influence on the craft will be in balance. At this distance, it will avoid unwanted emissions of heat from the Earth, the Moon and the Sun, which would interfere with the very fine measurements it has been designed to collect. Planck will spin, allowing its ear-like telescope to scan the whole sky. The craft's detectors have to operate at stable and very low temperatures, and it has equipment for cooling the detectors to levels close to absolute zero. After launch, it will take around 6 months to reach its final position. Scientists know from previous observations that slightly hotter or colder areas appear across the sky. These differences in temperature are very small, but they are the imprints left in the cosmic microwave background soon after the Big Bang that went on to form galaxies and galaxy clusters. The Planck probe will attempt to determine whether the early universe went through an inflationary phase and will seek answers about dark matter, mysterious unobserved material that could make up as much as 90% of the universe's mass. Evidence suggests dark matter and dark energy exist, but little else is known about them. A burnt space capsule, still showing the marks of its 2 weeks in orbit, was auctioned recently in Paris and has reached a record price of 72,000 euros plus taxes amounting to 14,000 euros. The capsule was bought by telephone by an unidentified bidder. Too big to be on display in the auction room, the Photon capsule was on exhibit outside the Druro auction house. According to organisers, the 2.4-ton sphere would be of interest to museums, scientific institutions, or even private collectors keen to acquire an unusual space object. Photon capsules first flew in 1985 and are based on the design of the Russian Vostok capsule, in which Yuri Gagarin was put into orbit in 1961. 12 Photon capsules have been launched by Russia. A collection of pictures published by the American Space Agency NASA, Russian propaganda posters and paintings were also auctioned at Druro House. Volvo's multi-fuel is basically a Volvo V70, equipped with a prototype turbocharged engine that can accept 5 different fuels. Inside, it shares all of the same features that the commercially available V70 offers, including a big cargo space. This concept is based on a standard V70 station wagon, yet its performance remains relatively consistent regardless of the fuel that is powering it. The prototype runs on hythane, a blend of hydrogen and methane, biomethane, natural gas, bioethanol, E85 and petrol. Below the luggage compartment is one large tank and two smaller tanks for gaseous fuels, as well as a 29-litre tank for liquid fuels. The turbocharged engine works well with all fuels. With all of Volvo's cars, there has always been a focus on safety. Like its standard fuel cousin, the multi-fuel V70 has features that make it the safest car in its class. It has some of the latest active safety systems, like collision warning with brake support. The car also has the best side airbags on the market and whiplash protection. The V70 has aimed at keeping its younger passengers as safe as possible, with standard child booster seats and restraints. Volvo hasn't announced plans to bring anything like the multi-fuel prototype to market yet. For Louis Palmer, his dream of travelling around the world using only solar power is becoming reality. The 35-year-old Swiss is going to spend 16 months travelling 60,000 kilometres around the world in a solar-powered vehicle. You might think travelling in a vehicle powered exclusively by the sun would be problematic, especially when it's cloudy. But Louis Palmer is not going to let anything like rain get in the way of drawing attention to climate change by travelling around the world using only solar power. A special ceremony was held for the Swiss climate campaigner at his first major destination of Berlin. The so-called solar taxi usually has a 5-metre-long trailer attached, which is covered with 6 square metres of solar cells. Energy captured from the sun is then stored in a newly invented Zebra battery that allows Louis to drive up to 100 kilometres per day. If he needs more, he dips into his power reserves. This means he can drive the solar taxi at night or even when it's raining. Louis left Switzerland recently, and after Berlin, he'll head to Eastern Europe before crossing into Asia. His route around the world will vary somewhat depending on which places invite him and his solar taxi to visit. And he's looking for passengers to join him for some of the journey. Now a different type of driving technology called active safety. It's an emerging technology that's finding a role in modern car design. Many crashes happen due to cars leaving their lanes because of distraction or driver fatigue. A lane departure warning system alerts a driver when he's leaving the lane without signalling. Lane departure warning is a camera-based system which has its sensor located between the inside rear-view mirror and the windscreen. Should the vehicle stray, it sounds an alarm. Another safety technology is side blind zone alert. Since all vehicles have blind spots, these alerts warn the driver if another vehicle poses a danger. Sensors are located in the rear end quarter panels on both sides. These technologies are not a substitute for safe driving, but they do show the potential for reducing certain types of crashes. The technology is advanced enough to be offered on this Lucerne at a moderate price. Researchers in the United States are developing a robot that is capable of rescuing wounded soldiers from the battlefield. At the moment, soldiers put themselves into dangerous situations while they retrieve their injured comrades. And the new robot could mean the difference between life and death for soldiers and their rescuers. The robot, called Bear, will be able to operate in many situations where it is unsafe for servicemen to operate. The robot has incredible strength and is capable of rescuing a soldier faster than any human being. The robot that is still under development is similar in size to a human. It can interact with the environment and move objects. Daniel Theobald, the president of Vecna Technologies, the company behind the project, said the bear will need the ability to pick its way through an array of obstacles and difficulties to be able to perform its job. Bear is designed to perform in a way that it is impossible for humans to. It is capable of accessing very hostile environments. Unlike other robots designed for military use, Bear can climb stairs or kneel and lie down, all while carrying an injured soldier. It is also narrow enough to squeeze through doorways, but can lift 135 kilograms with its hydraulic arms in a single smooth movement to avoid causing pain to wounded soldiers. The Bear is controlled remotely and has cameras and microphones. If it is able to meet all the military's requirements, the robot will cut the risk medics are exposed to while trying to reach a wounded soldier. While the existing prototype slides its arms under its burden like a forklift, future versions will be fitted with maneuverable hands to gently scoop up casualties. Bear has also been developed to operate in disaster areas such as quake zones, where structures may have become unstable. The Bear can cross bumpy ground without toppling, thanks to a combination of gyroscopes and computer-controlled motors to maintain balance. The US Defense Department has funded about a third of Bear's developmental costs, which so far total about $3 million American dollars. Developers are working on turning the Bear's wheeled base into 2 maneuverable legs. The researchers hope to equip the robot with armor and fire protection, something the current version is lacking, to allow the robot to function under battlefield conditions. At London's Science Museum, a group of school children is competing in a humanoid robot challenge. The robots, designed by the University of Warwick and customised by the children, are capable of dancing, sprinting and performing martial arts. The organisers are hoping to promote science and at the same time entertain the school children. 16 schools are taking part, each competing in various events. The humanoid robots are remotely controlled and are programmed to perform different dance moves. They've also been decorated by the children. Teams have added their names to the robot's back. Some of the robots are more stable than others. Professor Kevin Warwick of the University of Reading says 10 years ago, some thought it impossible to develop robots capable of standing on 2 legs. Now children are programming them. Some of the robots are taking part in an obstacle course that includes hurdles and a zip wire. Others are performing dance pieces and take to the stage in front of a panel of judges. Organisers aiming to stimulate children's interest in science are keenly aware that in the past, science and engineering have been presented in a dull way that has tended to drive students away from the subjects. The world's first hospital train has been given a 21st century makeover. The mobile healthcare centre is about to resume bringing medical assistance to remote parts of India. 5 new state-of-the-art coaches built by the Indian Railways were presented to the Impact India Foundation, a non-governmental organisation that has been running the hospital train service since 1991. The train was designed to bring medical care to remote areas of the country where the healthcare system is poor or non-existent. The new train has 2 operating theatres, 2 sets of attached recovery rooms, testing rooms for various disabilities, an auditorium and an office. The main operating theatre has 3 operating tables, each with an anaesthesia machine, superior shadow lights and Carl Zeiss microscopes for microsurgery. In addition to diagnostic equipment, the train has closed-circuit cameras inside the operating theatre to enable local doctors in the nearby auditorium to view operations as they happen. The Lifeline Express specialises in eye operations, microsurgery of the ear, correction of cleft palates, and orthopaedic surgery for deformed limbs. Since 1991, the train has treated nearly 450,000 people. The train halts at a particular station for 5 or 6 weeks. Then a van serving as a mobile clinic does the rounds of nearby villages, testing people and bringing cases back to the train. Soon it will head south for its first assignment at Vijayanagaram in the state of Andhra Pradesh. The first shaky steps of a double amputee are taken under the watchful eye of a military therapist at Walter Reed Medical Center in Washington, D.C. Thanks to intensive therapy and new high-tech prostheses, veterans are putting on newly engineered running legs and showing how closely they can adjust back to more regular routines. The majority of veterans demonstrating new prosthetic limbs at a recent Walter Reed symposium were survivors of the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. Motorcycle accident victim, Air Force Staff Sergeant Anthony Felder, says it is remarkable to go from barely being able to walk to being able to compete in races.
Beautiful. Keep the elbows in and thumbs high. There you go.
Therapists put the veterans through a series of exercises to adjust to changes in their center of gravity. Walter Reed physiotherapist Captain Martin Schwerer says the wounded veterans are asking to be able to do more with their artificial limbs. By staging a demonstration of the latest technologies employed in rehabilitation to visiting medical therapists, they hope to expand the program. The latest injured veterans are forcing a rethink in how they are treated, as most of the amputees were at the peak of their physical abilities when they lost a limb. The veterans demonstrate some of the exercises they perform while getting used to wearing their prosthetic limbs. Many of the drills the patients go through resemble those a professional athlete would use in training. The wounded veterans also use the latest in prosthetic technology. Even with the latest in prosthetics, the veterans still have to keep up with their exercise regime to retain fitness. Doctors say they treat the veterans like athletes, making them perform activities similar to those they took part in the military. The swelling ranks of young wounded military personnel has forced the US to update its treatment, therapy, and even policies about allowing soldiers with lost limbs to return to the battlefield. Nearly 29,000 service members have been injured since the start of the involvement in Iraq. Recently, Yotel saw the launch of its very first location, tucked away in the south terminal of London's Gatwick Airport. It is the first hotel to be located inside a British airport terminal. Like most great ideas, simplicity is the key. The concept of Yotel is to provide a flexible and convenient first-class hotel experience at affordable prices. The airline-styled cabins come fully equipped with en-suite bathrooms, free Wi-Fi and wired internet access, and Techno flat-screen wall entertainment systems. Guests can choose between a standard or a premium cabin. Clever design and use of light means that although compact, they don't feel so small, and the selection of quality fittings also gives a feel of comfort and relaxation. Yotel provides passengers with the ideal solution to early morning flights and long scheduled transfers. It is also a flexible solution for travellers who experience unexpected flight delays and cancellations. The cabins are bookable for just a few hours, enabling delayed and transfer passengers to rest in privacy, enjoy a refreshing shower, or relax with their favourite music from a choice of over 5,000 music tracks. Others can surf the internet or watch a movie or TV. And for business travellers, they can simply use the pull-down desk plug in their laptop and get on with some work. At Gatwick, there are 46 cabins and prices range from £25 sterling for just 4 hours to £80 to overnight in a premium unit. For really exhausted travellers, they need not have any human interaction. They can simply check in at the entrance booths using a simple automated touchscreen system, which produces their cabin key and receipt. On the opening day, there were several such ad hoc bookings, including David Summer from Atlanta, Georgia, who missed a transfer on a transatlantic flight. He had read a newspaper article and decided that a cabin at Yotel would provide an ideal respite for 6 hours. As a business traveller, price was key to his decision, explaining that his business expense account could not accommodate a stay at one of the many airport hotels, such as the Hilton. Yotel was conceived when founder Simon Woodruff was upgraded to first class on a flight. He wanted to combine the language of luxury airline travel and Japanese capsule hotels into a small but luxurious cabin. Expansion of Yotel already includes the opening of a 32-cabin complex at Heathrow's Terminal 4 and other airports in Amsterdam and Frankfurt. In Taiwan, a new aerial tramway is linking the Wenchang district on the city's southern outskirts to Maokong. Maokong is home to more than 24 tea houses nestled in a verdant mountain setting. The new tramway takes visitors from a point 24 metres above sea level to an observation platform located about 300 metres up. There are a total of 144 gondolas that seat 8 people each. The weather is closely monitored because wind speed and direction will lead operators to alter the speed of the cable car. While lightning is common during Taipei's summer, safety plans are in place in case of bad weather. Lightning will be monitored carefully from the tramway's control room. If lightning is detected, passengers already in a gondola will be carried to the nearest station. When the area has been lightning-free for 30 minutes, the tramway resumes. As well, lightning rods have been installed at each tower. The tramway moves at approximately 4 meters per second, and a complete journey takes 15 to 20 minutes.